Angel Coleman's life was shaped by loss, trauma, and resilience. At 18, she was in her final year of high school, but her path had been anything but ordinary. At the age of 11, Angel's mother, Sharon Coleman, tragically died in a car accident. The loss devastated the family, especially Angel, who had been close to her mother. Angel's father, Alan Coleman, a gruff and volatile construction foreman, was ill-equipped to raise her alone. Known for his temper, Alan had a history of domestic violence, and the absence of Sharon only exacerbated his instability. Struggling financially and emotionally, Alan remarried Carla Coleman when Angel was 13, hoping she would bring stability to their lives. Carla initially appeared to be a kind and industrious stepmother, but her veneer of care soon wore thin. She ran a struggling candle store called Lavender Lights, and as its fortunes declined, Carla began taking out her frustrations on Angel. What started as harsh scolding escalated to forcing Angel into servitude, cooking, cleaning, and even working at the store, all while balancing her schoolwork. Angel's plight didn't go unnoticed. Neighbors often saw her doing heavy chores late at night, and some suspected abuse. But in Castle Rock, a small town with its share of dysfunction, her situation failed to raise serious alarms. Behind closed doors, Carla's mistreatment of Angel grew darker, laying the groundwork for an unthinkable betrayal. By 2015, Carla Coleman's financial troubles had spiraled out of control. Her candle shop was on the verge of bankruptcy, and she was desperate for money. It was then that she rekindled a relationship with her ex-lover, Sheriff Brad Kingston, a respected yet secretly predatory figure in Castle Rock. Kingston, 50, was a man with a spotless public reputation, known for his charitable acts and community involvement. However, he harbored a hidden predilection for exploiting young girls. Carla, desperate and opportunistic, saw an opportunity to solve her financial woes. She offered Angel to Kingston in exchange for regular payments. The arrangement was as sordid as it was horrifying. Angel was effectively sold to Kingston, who kept her in his basement under the pretense of providing mentorship. The space was barren, a mattress, a desk, and a stack of notebooks where Angel poured out her despair. She described Kingston as a monster in plain sight, and Carla as the person who traded me away. Angel found a glimmer of hope in writing. She began secretly blogging under the pseudonym Echoes of Castle Rock, exposing the town's hidden injustices. She wrote about corruption, poverty, and her own experiences, though she never revealed her identity. Her blog became a quiet act of rebellion against her captors. On the crisp summer morning of July 15, 2015, the serenity of Castle Rock was shattered by a gruesome discovery. Robert Juicy Lang, a retired mailman well known in the community, was walking his Labrador through a wooded area when the dog pulled him towards something unusual near a patch of wildflowers. What he initially thought was a discarded mannequin turned out to be the lifeless body of 18-year-old Angel Coleman. The scene was haunting. Angel's body bore visible bruises, her wrists were scarred as if she had been restrained, and her neck showed signs of strangulation. Clad only in undergarments, it was evident she had been subjected to horrifying abuse before her death. Local authorities, led by Detective Serena Bender, immediately cordoned off the area. Serena, a sharp and empathetic investigator with a track record of solving high-profile cases, was determined to uncover the truth. Near Angel's body, they found a trail of disturbed soil, as if she had been dragged to the spot. However, no murder weapon was immediately evident. Further investigation revealed Angel's belongings scattered nearby: a school notebook, a hair tie, and her old backpack. The most critical missing item was her cell phone, which investigators suspected contained vital evidence about her final hours. The discovery sent shockwaves through Castle Rock, with parents, teachers, and students mourning the loss of a promising young life. As the investigation unfolded, detectives stumbled upon a surprising digital clue: Angel's anonymous blog, Echoes of Castle Rock. This blog, which had been quietly gaining traction online, provided a rare glimpse into the town's underbelly. Written in a mix of poetry, journal entries, and fiery exposés, the blog tackled topics ranging from small-town corruption to deeply personal struggles. Detective Bender, along with a digital forensic expert, worked to confirm Angel as the blog's author. In one post titled Chains and Promises, Angel cryptically wrote about being trapped in the grip of two oppressors, one who pretends to love and one who pretends to protect. Another entry, the man in the uniform, hinted at her relationship with a powerful figure in town, later confirmed to be Sheriff Brad Kingston. Unpublished drafts recovered from her laptop were even more damning. They revealed Angel's growing despair and her intent to expose Kingston's abuse and Carla's betrayal. She wrote, "I will not be another forgotten girl. My story will burn their lies to ash." The blog painted a vivid picture of Angel's inner strength and her refusal to succumb to silence. It also helped detectives build a clearer timeline of events leading up to her death. Sheriff Brad Kingston was more than just a lawman in Castle Rock. He was a symbol of stability and trust. Known for his quick smile and active community presence, he led local charity drives, attended town festivals, and seemed to care deeply for his constituents. But behind closed doors, Kingston was a predator, using his authority to exploit the very people he had sworn to protect. Kingston's fixation on Angel Coleman began during a school safety presentation he conducted at the local high school. A few offhand compliments about her intelligence and beauty soon evolved into private meetings under the guise of mentorship. Angel, vulnerable and desperate for guidance, initially saw him as a father figure, but Kingston's intentions were far from noble. It wasn't long before the mentorship turned into coercion. Text messages uncovered during the investigation revealed how Kingston isolated Angel from her peers and made her believe she owed him for his attention. One chilling message read, "You're special to me, Angel. Don't let anyone ruin what we have." Investigators also discovered Kingston had set up a secretive fund using small-town embezzlement tactics to siphon money from local taxpayers. Some of this money was funneled to Carla Coleman in exchange for her compliance. His manipulation extended beyond Angel, as he had silenced other potential accusers in the past with threats and intimidation. Kingston's wife, who had stood by his side for decades, claimed ignorance of his double life. However, community members later questioned whether she had ignored warning signs to preserve their family's image. The depth of Kingston's secrets only became clear when police uncovered physical evidence, strands of Angel's hair in the carpet of his patrol car and surveillance footage showing him transporting Angel to his property on multiple occasions. His seemingly impeccable reputation began to crumble, revealing a man who had built his life on lies. Carla Coleman's life had always been marked by financial instability. Her candle shop, Lavender Lights, started as a dream, but quickly turned into a money pit. The business struggled to attract customers, and Carla's poor financial management only made things worse. By the time Angel moved in with her and Alan, Carla was months behind on rent and facing lawsuits from creditors. Desperation drove Carla to make morally corrupt choices. When Sheriff Kingston offered her financial assistance in exchange for access to Angel, Carla initially resisted, but as the debt mounted, her resistance crumbled. Bank records showed that starting in late 2014, Kingston began depositing regular payments into Carla's account, always in amounts just large enough to keep her afloat. In one recorded conversation between Carla and a friend, Carla expressed her frustration. "Do you know what it's like to see your dreams fail? To have nothing left? Sometimes you have to do ugly things to survive." Detectives pieced together the transactional nature of Carla's arrangement with Kingston. Witnesses reported seeing Angel working long hours at Lavender Lights under Carla's supervision, often looking exhausted or withdrawn. While Carla presented herself as a struggling small business owner, she was actively complicit in Angel's exploitation. When confronted, Carla attempted to downplay her role, claiming she had no choice. But her callousness toward Angel, even in private texts, painted a different picture. One message to Kingston read, "She's your problem now, just keep paying me." The discovery of the hidden camera in Sheriff Brad Kingston's basement was a critical turning point in the investigation into Angel Coleman's death. Investigators initially combed through Kingston's property, searching for any signs of Angel or evidence linking him to the crime. But it was only during a second, more thorough search, following a tip from a whistleblower within Kingston's own department, that they stumbled upon the camera. Kingston, aware of the growing suspicion surrounding his behavior, had gone to great lengths to cover his tracks. The camera, a small, inconspicuous device, was hidden behind a vent in the basement. It was cleverly disguised, making it difficult to spot without a meticulous search. The basement itself was set up as a small, dark room, furnished with minimal furniture, making it clear that it was meant to serve as a prison for someone. When investigators finally retrieved the footage, they were horrified by what they saw. The footage spanned several months, dating back to when Angel was first taken into Kingston's custody. The majority of the recordings were of Angel, either sitting in the room, pacing nervously, or attempting to speak into the camera in moments of clarity, her eyes pleading with the unseen viewers. The first video that shook investigators was one where Angel, looking visibly terrified, whispered, "If someone finds this, please, you have to help me. He won't let me go." The desperation in her voice, combined with the vulnerability in her demeanor, made it clear that Kingston had not only imprisoned her physically, but also had her emotionally and mentally manipulated. One chilling clip showed Angel trying to escape, her hands bound and her face bruised. The struggle to free herself from the chains was futile, and after several failed attempts, she collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. The footage was harrowing, as viewers could see the slow erosion of Angel's spirit. Later videos also showed Kingston interacting with Carla Coleman, who entered the basement multiple times. The conversations between them were disturbing. Carla seemed indifferent to Angel's plight, treating the entire situation as a transactional arrangement. In one video, Carla hands over a bag of Angel's personal items to Kingston, saying coldly, "You've got her now. Keep her there. I don't want to see her anymore." The hidden camera not only provided solid evidence of the abuse, but also painted a damning portrait of Carla's involvement. It was clear she had knowledge of the abuse and at times facilitated it, making her complicit in Angel's suffering. Alan Coleman, Angel's estranged father, had always been a figure on the periphery of his daughter's life. After his divorce from Angel's mother, he was often absent, consumed by his own issues with drinking, gambling, and frequent run-ins with the law. His relationship with Angel had always been strained, and she had often expressed feelings of abandonment and neglect toward him. Despite this, Alan's presence in the investigation became significant when Angel went missing. After the initial reports of Angel's disappearance, Alan's whereabouts were questioned. Many expected him to be the first to raise alarms, but his delayed response to the crisis raised suspicion. It soon came to light that Alan had known about his daughter's worsening situation with Sheriff Kingston and Carla for some time. Several witnesses revealed that Alan had argued with Carla about Kingston's growing influence in their lives. It was apparent that Alan was uncomfortable with the sheriff's control over his daughter, but his actions were not consistent with someone genuinely concerned for Angel's safety. In fact, phone records and witness testimonies revealed that Alan had been in contact with Kingston in the days leading up to Angel's disappearance. In one recorded phone call, Alan and Kingston exchanged heated words. Alan demanded to know what was happening to his daughter, to which Kingston responded with threats, warning him to stay out of it. "She's under my care now, Alan. You're not in any position to tell me what to do," Kingston's voice growled through the phone. Alan's response was weak, his voice shaky as he muttered, "I just want her back, Brad. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to let you hurt her." However, on the night Angel was killed, Alan's actions raised more questions. Alan had gone to Kingston's property to confront him, but according to his own testimony, he left after a brief exchange. Neighbors reported hearing shouting, but no one saw Alan enter Kingston's house or remove Angel from the situation. When investigators later questioned Alan about this, he admitted to leaving the confrontation without any resolution. The discovery that Alan had been so close to intervening yet failed to do so became a key factor in the investigation. His failure to act decisively led to further questions about whether he was complicit in Angel's suffering, even if only by omission. Many believed that Alan's inaction contributed to the eventual tragedy. Although he wasn't directly involved in Angel's death, his failure to protect her cast a long shadow over his character and his role in the case. Carla Coleman's confession was a turning point in the case, but it was also one of the most chilling moments for investigators. Carla had long denied her involvement in Angel's death, but as the evidence mounted against her, she had little choice but to face the truth. Her confession came under duress during a long and grueling interrogation session, but it revealed the extent of her complicity. Carla initially tried to minimize her role, claiming that she had only tried to help Angel, but her story quickly unraveled. After hours of questioning, she admitted to her involvement in the abuse and manipulation of her daughter. In a calm, detached tone, Carla explained that she had never truly cared for Angel the way a mother should. "She was a burden, always wanting more than I could give. I had my own life to worry about," Carla stated coldly. Carla's confession revealed a complex web of manipulation and greed. She explained that when Sheriff Kingston had first approached her with his proposal, she had been desperate. The constant pressure from creditors, the threat of losing her business, and the looming collapse of her life made Kingston's offer seem like a lifeline. She had agreed to give him access to Angel in exchange for financial assistance. It began as a passive involvement, but over time her complicity grew. Her role escalated as Kingston's demands became more insistent. Carla had facilitated Kingston's abuse by allowing him to take Angel to his home and keeping the secret. At first, Carla justified her actions, claiming she had no choice but to comply with Kingston's demands. But as the investigation uncovered more details, it became clear that Carla had been driven by greed and a desire to keep her financial struggles hidden. When asked about Angel's final moments, Carla's tone shifted slightly. She recalled a confrontation between herself and Angel just days before her death. She was hysterical, screaming at me, calling me a traitor. She said she would tell everyone what we'd been doing. I couldn't let her ruin everything. Carla claimed that, in a fit of rage, she struck Angel with a garden spade, causing her to fall unconscious. In her mind, it had been an accident, but forensic evidence told a different story. Angel had been strangled, and the wound suggested a more deliberate, brutal attack. Carla's confession did little to earn her sympathy. Her lack of remorse, coupled with her cold attitude toward Angel's suffering, made it clear that she had never truly cared for her daughter. The confession, though damning, only deepened the community's sense of betrayal and horror. The trial of Carla Coleman and Sheriff Brad Kingston was the culmination of months of investigative work, and it gripped the nation. Castle Rock, once a peaceful town, became the epicenter of media attention as the public eagerly followed the courtroom drama. The prosecution laid out a strong case, presenting both physical evidence and testimony that painted a horrifying picture of the abuse Angel had endured at the hands of Kingston and her own mother. The prosecution used the hidden camera footage as a centerpiece of their case, showing how Angel was imprisoned and psychologically tortured. The footage of Angel begging for help and attempting to escape became one of the most powerful pieces of evidence, and the public's outrage only grew as they watched it unfold on television screens. The trial also brought to light Alan Coleman's role in the tragedy. Although Alan was not charged with a crime, his inaction was heavily scrutinized. The prosecution argued that his failure to act had indirectly contributed to his daughter's death. On the stand, Alan broke down in tears, expressing deep regret for not protecting his daughter. However, many in the courtroom viewed him as an enabler, someone who had failed to stand up for Angel when it mattered most. Carla Coleman was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her lack of remorse, combined with the brutal nature of her crime, led the judge to issue the maximum sentence. Sheriff Kingston, whose abuses were even more widespread, was given a 75-year sentence for his role in the abuse and corruption of Castle Rock. In the aftermath of the trial, the town of Castle Rock was left to reckon with the scars left by Angel's story. Many citizens struggled to comprehend how such a tragedy could have happened in their community. In the years that followed, reforms were put in place to protect vulnerable children and prevent the abuse of power by those in positions of authority. Angel's story became a rallying cry for activists who advocated for stricter laws and better protections for children. Angel's blog, Echoes of Castle Rock, became an unexpected symbol of resistance, read by thousands of people worldwide. Her final post, written during the darkest moments of her captivity, inspired a movement to raise awareness about abuse and exploitation. Even though Angel's life was tragically cut short, her bravery ensured that her voice was heard long after her death. The trial may have been over, but the impact of Angel Coleman's story would echo through Castle Rock and beyond for generations to come. As the trial of Carla Coleman and Sheriff Brad Kingston concluded, many people were left with haunting questions. The trial brought the full, devastating details of Angel Coleman's life and death into the public eye, but there were still so many unanswered questions. Why did Carla, a mother, allow such horrors to happen to her own daughter? What could drive someone to act with such cruelty? And perhaps even more troubling, how did Sheriff Kingston, a man of authority, become so twisted in his abuse of power? As viewers, we are left grappling with these questions. The complexity of human behavior, the dark corners of desperation, greed, and power, the factors that can lead someone down a path of corruption and destruction are not always easy to understand, but we must ask ourselves, what happens in a person's life that makes them choose such a path? What do they justify in their minds to allow them to harm another person? Could it be that they too have suffered in ways that led them to this? Or is it simply the darkness that lives within us all, the temptation to take advantage of others when given the opportunity? Can we ever fully understand the motivations behind such evil actions? What makes someone turn from a loved one to a perpetrator of unspeakable acts? In the case of Angel Coleman, the true tragedy lies not just in her untimely death, but in the deep layers of betrayal, from her mother, from the community, and from those in positions of trust. This is a story that forces us to ask more profound questions about human nature, about empathy, and about the boundaries of what people will tolerate or ignore for their own gain. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Do you think this could happen anywhere, or was this an isolated case? What steps should be taken to ensure something like this never happens again? How do we protect vulnerable people in our communities? What could have been done differently to save Angel? If you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on cases like these. Share your thoughts with us. Your perspective matters, and we want to keep this conversation going. Remember, these stories are not just about those who commit these crimes, but also about the voices that must be heard, the lessons that must be learned, and the changes that need to be made. Take care of each other, stay vigilant, and don't be afraid to speak out when something doesn't feel right. See you in the next video.